This chapter is chapter 4, and it's called Making Friends on the Purple River. The next day, Sancho and the alligator woke up to the songs of the most beautiful birds Sancho had ever seen or heard. They were like an alarm clock in the jungle. The jungle began to come to life as the fog started to lift over the river and the sun began to rise. It was a glorious morning. Sancho had a new friend, and he was well into his first adventure. Then Sancho realized he didn't even know his friend's name. "Mr. Alligator," Sancho asked, "what name do you go by?"
"The Bagman is what I'm called," replied the alligator. "It started as a joke with my friends years ago. You see, I'm 80 years old, and because I'm red and very large, all the trappers think I would make many beautiful pocketbooks. They've all been trying to kill me for years. I'm not as fast as I used to be, but I'm wiser. I don't know why men can't understand that animals have feelings too. Did you know there are many animal friends of mine that have been killed just for their fur or their hides?"
Sancho and the bagman sat there quietly on the riverbank. They listened to the songs of the birds and were dazed by the overwhelming beauty of the purple river flowing into the jungle. After an hour or so of enjoying the morning, Sancho and the bagman continued on downriver. It was a beautiful day, and they were having a great time. Once the bagman, without warning, turned to one side and he dumped Sancho into the river. Sancho went under, getting a beak full of water, but he laughed, saying, "I needed a bath anyway, bagman." They were becoming good friends. The bagman swam over to a rock in the river and let Sancho off while he swam around looking for lunch. And it wasn't long before he came back with a fish for Sancho and one for himself. Sancho and the bagman were having such a great time on the Purple River. For some time now, the canopy of the jungle had been opened up to the sky and everything was bright and sunny. They could see a long way downriver, but as they looked ahead, they noticed the jungle was again starting to block out the river into darkness. Huge tropical plants covered the banks with vines that looked like green cobwebs running through the trees. Their mood began to change from fun and games to a more serious nature. In the dark, they couldn't see very well. They had no way of knowing what danger lurked ahead. They moved more slowly, checking out every little sound along the way. As they slowly crept downriver, Sancho and the bagman heard something up ahead. The bagman looked at Sancho, saying quietly,
Sancho, something doesn't feel quite right."
Sancho, being young and wanting to explore, insisted on checking everything out. "Bagman, if I'm gonna be a great explorer, I can't be afraid." So the bagman swam over to the bank, but he didn't think it was a good idea at all. They sat there quiet and still. There didn't seem to be a sound or a creature moving anywhere. It was dead calm. And all of a sudden, a huge net fell from the trees and landed on Sancho and the bagman, and they both fought furiously, trying to get free. Then 4 men came running from the jungle, yelling and laughing. "We did it! We did it!" one man yelled. "We caught the big red alligator!" And they all jumped on Sancho and the bagman. One held Sancho as the other 3 tried to tie up the bagman. Sancho screamed out, "Bagman, help me! Help me!" The bagman went berserk. He started thrashing his tail and throwing all the men all around. Sancho tried desperately to get to his sword, but the man had too good a hold on him. And as the man pulled Sancho free from the net and turned to walk away, the bagman's tail whipped around and caught the man across the back, throwing him high into the air. The man landed on the beach, but Sancho was thrown into the river. As Sancho was being carried off by the current of the river, he could hear the bagman calling out to him,
"Swim free, little buddy. Don't worry about me. Just get away."
bagman fought for his life, but now that Sancho was gone, the men ganged up on him. The bagman could hear Sancho yelling out to him as the river carried him around the bend and out of sight. "I'll be back, bagman! I'll be back to help!" Sancho's voice soon faded off into the distance while the men tied the bagman up.